Get ready with me while I get ready for a show tonight and talk about the time I was groomed when I was 17. So I was about 2 to 3 weeks away from turning 17. I started working at this restaurant as a hostess. I worked there with my girlfriend at the time. I was so unbelievably in love with her. I met this woman in her 20s. She was really good at blurring age. I never at the time thought about her age or how old she was. She was very socially powerful. The grooming process happened very quickly. I don't think I ever knew her when she wasn't hitting on me. And I even remember very specifically, I was sitting at my hostess stand and I just turned 17. Someone came up to me and asked me how old I was. I was like, oh, I'm 17, I'll be 18 and so. I remember them very specifically saying, don't let blank hear about that. And they said it in a way that was like kind of joking, but also kind of like, this person has a reputation for being into young girls. I was also queer, and it was like also a queer woman. This woman was like not my type at all. The way she had the restaurant kind of wrapped around her finger is the way that I've seen men do that. She was like what you would call like a butch lesbian. She had really short hair, she was bigger, she was taller, she smoked, she drank. When things started happening between us, she was around like 24, 25. I think the main thing that got me the most was the manipulation of everything. When you are groomed, they like to use a lot of different tactics. Isolation, gift giving, love bombing, giving you nicknames. She gave me a nickname that now that I am an adult, I realize was very based in the category of infantilization. She called me Dimples, and that was our like little thing. She used to like find excuses to come to the hostess stand just to like touch me on my side or like go through my hostess book and get really close to me. And at the time I was like, oh, this is like an older person. Mind you, I was so unpopular in school, it's not even funny. So when this older person was showing me attention, I was like, oh my gosh, like someone that is older and queer and everything. I feel so validated. Again, I was around 16 when we first met. I was just about to turn 17 and she groomed me for an entire year. As soon as I turned 18, she pounced, but not before laying all of the psychological groundwork beforehand. And that consisted of lying about my girlfriend cheating on me. She was using it as a way to kind of isolate me from the one person in my life that everyone knew was my rock. The thing that was like the hardest thing to accept, and I only realized this when I went back on like Facebook messages from like years ago while I was trying to figure out the timeline, couldn't find anything, but I saw her name in one of the messages from this other girl. And the girl happened to be none other than her girlfriend at the time. She had a girlfriend as well, yes. This person messaged me and was like, hey, are you still with Megan or are you guys allowed to see other people? If so, like hit me up. And I messaged back and was like, aren't you with blank? She said, yeah, we've both been wondering. She knows that I messaged you. This message was sent 9 a.m. the day of my 18th birthday. The exact fucking day of my birthday. Meaning, these people were doing something called countdown grooming, where they literally kept an eye and waited until the exact day that I turned 18 and they wouldn't catch a case. I kept scrolling and saw more messages between me and this person. She had responded again and started being like, oh, do you know where your girlfriend is right now? I saw her over at so-and-so's house. I just wanted to let you know this because I heard that so-and-so had. This is when she started lying and saying, again, this is the exact same time she started saying it. It was literally a triangulation of trying to isolate me and my girlfriend to get away from each other because everyone knew how strong we were. She was, if she's doing that to you, that's super fucked up. Like, you don't deserve that. When you are told something like that so much, eventually you kind of like start to believe it because so many people are telling it to you. And I had already been groomed for a freaking year by my abuser that I was like, okay, like why would she lie to me? That's what they do. They sit there and they're like, I don't want to see you go through this. You can trust me. I would never do this to you. I would never do that. Yeah, bada. It caused problems between us. Everyone was trying to lie and get in the middle of our shit, and it fucking worked because these were grown-ass people and we were newly 18-year-olds that were just trying to navigate life together. Now I'm 18. These are two 25-year-olds that are fully aware of what they're doing. I've already done this before, already has history messing around with younger girls. This is when the grooming really started getting even more sexual. She used to do this thing where it was like, oh, well, when are you gonna stay late with us after work? Do you want alcohol? I refused, like I kept refusing because I had curfew. Even though I was 18, I had curfew and I knew that. And my parents had always been really strict and I had tried to be a good kid. Eventually one night, me and my mom were not really on the best terms. And so I stayed late. I remember staying late, like on the porch with these other adults. Eventually, it got to the point where it was like, okay, well, I've got to like dip. And she offered to like walk me to my car. Again, I don't know how many times this happened before like she started. A lot of it is a blur, but like eventually she started getting in the car with me. We like kissed, she touched me, things like that. I remember those very specifically. And I remember at some point when I started staying late after curfew, my mom came and she was touching me at the time, like full on touching me. We were doing things. There was like a loud knock on the window. My mom says she didn't see anything to this day. Tensions are high, you're just looking for your kid, like I get that. She kind of was like, hey, if you're not gonna follow my rules, like don't come home. And like I understand that as an adult, like to a point. Like, she said that, and she said that in front of my groomer. She said that in front of this woman that was already trying to do things to get me alone, and we were already doing things in secret in back rooms and things like that. It was very secretive at all times. This is where everything started getting so out of control. She was like, you can come stay with me for a little while. So I went and I stayed with her, and she basically moved me in. Things went really, really fast. She did this thing where she we were together one night and she kind of randomly pulled it out. And all I remember is her saying, it's clean. I would never use anything unclean on you. That brings the question, you have a girlfriend already? Why is this toy in your dresser? Is it brand new? I think she said it was brand new, which is, again, did you buy this for me? Things that I will never know the answer to. There was a lot of dissociation. There was a lot of me wanting to make her happy. Being in those certain situations, consent is not really possible because you don't want to lose your housing, and they provide food for you and substances. Towards the end, I started talking about missing people from my old life. I remember her basically calling me a tease and saying that I was playing with her emotions, and I remember feeling this aching sense of dread because I was like, okay, now this girl has claimed me, I belong to her now. She protected me when I was being cheated on. We've lied together, we've snuck around together. She kept me very locked in, and she was so socially powerful, it was ridiculous. Got to the point where I felt a lot of disgust. I forced myself to do a lot of the things that I didn't want to do, but I felt like I owed her. I think another really hard thing was growing up queer. There's a lot of things that I went without because I was gay. One of them being the talk with my mom. I didn't know what consent was. I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know we were allowed to say no. And I think I spent my entire life trying to make sure other people were comfortable and other people were happy. When they wanted something from me, it's okay, this is my job. This is my responsibility. Sometimes I feel so stupid about being upset about it because I'm well, could have been worse, could have been younger, could have had this happen, could have had that happen. And then I think about her body on mine, or moments right before we did something, or me being in that house and just chugging and chugging and chugging and chugging until I couldn't anymore. And the blurry nights, and fractured memories, tastes I can't get out of my mouth. I think it's really hard when you have so many gray area traumas. What are you supposed to do with that? I have clear black and whites, and those kind of hurt less because they are clear. But when you're not the perfect victim and you're fuck, why'd I do that? Why'd I let that happen? Why'd I force myself to do this? It gets really dark really fast. Let this just be a message to all the young girls out there that you don't have to give your body away to people in order to be loved. You're gonna feel that way because of the world that we live in and the way people pressure you. Sometimes it's really hard to see the difference between a consensual act that you genuinely desire when you are groomed and drunk and high, or just a debt you're trying to pay. Your body is not currency, and no one has a right to treat it that way.